Discover the incredible journey of a black janitor's daughter who saved a $30 million deal with one brave move. The city buzzed like a hive, its towering skyscrapers glinting with the ambition of its dreams. 19-year-old Maya stood at the crossroads of her life, with her father's aged yet sturdy hands reminiscent of the darkness that molded her. Every day, she watched her dad scrub floors at a prestigious law firm, the sheen of his labor illuminating the shadows of their reality. Character is built in darkness, but it shines brightest in the light, he often said. And she carried his words like a beacon, fueling her desire to uplift their community and change her narrative amid the city's unrelenting grip of recession. Then life hit them harder than ever before. A sudden collapse, an ambulance blaring through the chaos, and her father was whisked away to the sterile confines of a hospital. Panic swept over Maya like a cold wave as bills piled like an unwanted lesson in despair. She wanted to scream, to fight against the unfairness, but the weight of it all rendered her paralyzed. Caught in uncertainty as she sat in the cold hospital corridor, Maya caught wind of whispers in the world she barely knew her father's workplace. Shadows of a massive business deal worth $30 million danced in her head. Could this be her way out? But as she unearthed the opportunity, she felt the sharp edges of socio-economic barriers. She had no voice in that realm, no rights as the janitor's daughter. Heart-pounding, Maya found herself at a corporate lunch that felt like stepping into a scene from a movie. The air hummed with laughter, and clinking glasses, a sharply tailored world of privilege peppered with dismissive glances. The executives scarcely noticed her presence as they exchanged pleasantries, their condescending laughter echoing off their polished tables. Each dismissive glance struck her with a sense of indignation. She was more than just a girl whose father cleaned their messes. She needed them to see her, to recognize her worth. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Yet fate had other plans. As Maya delved deeper into the whispers of the deal, she stumbled across evidence that suggested her father's ingenuity was pivotal to its inception. Her heart raced. This was the moment that could shift the narrative. It was a revelation surrounded by fighting emotions, loyalty to her father tangled with a fierce desire for justice. The clock was ticking, the stakes rising. Steeling herself, Maya stood at the threshold of that conference room. The pain in her chest tightened like a fist, but her father's voice roared in her mind, reminding her that integrity mattered most. Would she leap into the light, exposing hidden truths? Or would she let the chance slip away, shrouded by fear? As she took a deep breath, the weight of her family's future on her shoulders, a storm brewed inside her, igniting an unquenchable fire. The answer loomed just beyond that door. Would she rewrite her family's story? One brave move. Maya's breath hitched in her throat as she pushed the door open. The conference room practically glowed under the harsh lights, a stark contrast to the shadows where she had spent much of her life. She stepped in, heart racing, every noise distantly muffled. The faces around the table turned toward her, surprised and bewildered. "Excuse me," she stammered, finding her voice amid the cacophony of boardroom chatter. "I have something to say." Executives exchanged glances, brows raised. A woman with sleek hair and sharp features leaned forward. "This doesn't involve you, young lady. Perhaps you should know." Maya interrupted, her voice rising. "It does involve me. My father, he helped with this deal. He deserves credit." Her heart drummed in her chest, but she pushed through the unease. The room fell silent. The executives paused their transactional conversations, caught off guard by the urgency that radiated from her. The tension was palpable, thick like smoke. Maya took a deep breath, centering herself. There was no turning back now. "Calvin Jones," she continued, her eyes scanning the crowd, locking onto familiar faces. "He is the janitor you overlook every day. The one who inspires everyone around him, working tirelessly to support our family." Her voice trembled but held firm. "He played a key role in your project. You may not know it, but he helped initiate ideas, shaped discussions. His hard work has not gone unnoticed at the heart of this deal. Maya could almost hear her father's gentle reminders, his encouragement to stand tall, to fight the good fight, to be the voice for the voiceless. Her words carried that courage, flowing like a river bursting its banks. That's all well and good. A man in a tailored suit interjected dismissively, but he's not even in this industry. What could he possibly contribute? That question sliced through Maya. Hot anger coursed through her veins as she retorted. He represents the many who bust their backs for others, who provide strength to this city. This deal isn't just about numbers. It's about people. We need to acknowledge the efforts of the entire team, not just those who sit at the tables. The executives' chatter started to resume, dismissive waves flicking back to the usual topics. But Maya sensed the tide turning. She had planted a seed, whether they chose to nurture it or not. Suddenly, a voice broke through, deep and steady. Young lady, you may be surprised at how many people think of Calvin Jones as a cornerstone of this team. It was the head of the firm, a man with a reputation for listening intently. All eyes turned as he continued. Perhaps it's time we reevaluate our approach. Maya felt the tremors beneath her feet. Her pulse quickened as hope tugged at her heart. This could be the moment. A transformable juncture, not just for her family but for the whole community. But before she could bask in the possibility, before fear could burst her bubble, another executive scoffed. And what, pray tell, do you expect us to do? Hand him a chair at this table? Maya clenched her fists, a mix of desperation and resolve swirling inside her like a hurricane. I expect you to honor the contributions of every person, the ones who do the labor that makes your decisions possible. For a heartbeat, silence held the room captive. Uncertainty hung in the air, thick and suffocating. The executives didn't know what to say, but she could see the wheels turning. In this critical moment, everything hinged on her next words. Would the executives rise to the occasion, or would she walk away once again invisible, her father's legacy fading in their bustling world? Maya's heart screamed for justice, heartache in every beat. One brave move could change everything. Would she go through with it, or lose it all? Maya felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her, the silence vibrating like a taut string ready to snap. It was a standoff of sorts, between a young woman who felt small yet mighty and a room full of powerful figures who held decades of influence in their hands. Her breath was shallow, each inhale brimming with a mix of fear and resilience. Why not start a conversation about inclusion? She pressed on, her voice sharpened by determination. Let this be a turning point. You want innovation? You need voices from every corner of your business, everyone who puts in the hours, who sacrifices their own dreams for the greater good. A murmur of uncertainty rippled through the executives. The sharp-featured woman had leaned back, arms crossed, but her lips trembled as if she were processing a new idea. Maya seized the chance, her pulse thrumming in her ears, drowning out the lingering doubts. As a community, we thrive on collaboration. How many groundbreaking ideas come from perspectives you've never even considered? Don't you want to inspire others who look at this table and see their future within it? Another pause hung, the air taut as a wire. She could see heads turning, eyes wide, some searching for their notes as if they suddenly needed to jot down this young outsider's thoughts. With each passing second, hope fanned her courage like flames illuminating the dark. Maya, is it? The head executive leaned forward slightly, his voice softer now, almost tentative. I suppose the question remains, how do we honor these contributions without disrupting the framework that's already in place? She felt the heat of the moment, the thrill of urgency pressing her heart to action. Acknowledge him, she urged. Recognize what he does. Host workshops where people can voice their ideas. Create a mentorship program that pairs experienced leaders with individuals like my father who have an eye for innovation. It's not just about handing out credits. It's about building a network of support. Faces around the table shifted, pens scratching against paper, and she willed her own resolve to radiate through the room. Then, the sharp-featured executive spoke again. It's an interesting proposal, but what are we truly gaining from it? This is a business after all. Maya bit her lip, the sting of defeat creeping in. You gain loyalty, you gain diversity, and that is a vast market you've kept at arm's length for too long. This is about doing the right thing as much as it is about numbers. Imagine the community rallying behind a company that practices what it preaches. With each word, she envisioned Calvin, tirelessly cleaning the halls while nurturing dreams for the future, a man who understood more about respect and work ethic than they ever could. Every person deserves to be seen. You could change lives. Isn't that part of what makes business worth it? Another silence swept through the room, this one laden with contemplation instead of hostility. She noticed a few heads nodding, slowly, tentatively. The head of the firm offered a brief, almost imperceptible smile, a crack in the corporate armor. Perhaps she stirred something, planted a new seed of thought where none existed before. Just then, a voice filled with skepticism broke the tension. And if this flops? A grizzled executive asked, voice dripping with doubt. Do we risk our business reputation over sentimental gestures? Maya felt weightless for just an instant. What if it flourishes? She countered, urgency surging. What if it reminds people that we're more than just figures and profit margins? That actions like these can foster real change? The silence that followed felt like a countdown, every second echoing with possibility. But the stakes were rising, and everyone sensed it. Would they lean into this revelation or retreat back to familiar comforts? Let us make a decision here and now, Maya challenged, her heart racing with hope and fear intertwined. She stood, ready for whatever might come next. That door she had walked through now felt like the bridge to so much more. What if this was the moment that could tip the scales for her father and others like him, turning the tide toward equality? But before anyone could answer, the head of the firm looked around the room, seemingly gauging the atmosphere. Very well. Maya held her breath. What was it going to be? Would she find the change she fought for, or would the voices of the past echo back, silencing her once again? The head executive's eyes scanned the room, and for a moment, it felt as if time held its breath. Maya's heart raced as she clung to every flicker of expression from the people around her. Were they considering her words, or simply waiting for the moment to dismiss her? Let us open this up for discussion, he said finally, his voice steady but not unfriendly. A rustle of papers and murmured discussions filled the room as the executives shifted in their seats, grappling with the weight of Maya's call for change. A younger executive, newly appointed and eager for progress, leaned in. I think she has a point. If our company continues with outdated practices, we might miss out on opportunities that could enhance our brand. His willingness to speak up made Maya's heart lift. But the sharp-featured woman didn't back down. You really think a few workshops and mentorship programs can change the culture of our company? It starts at the top with leadership. Maya breathed deeply, feeling the moment stretching again. She needed to respond, to show that change could be a shared journey. Absolutely. Leadership sets the tone, but it's also about accountability. Make everyone in the company accountable for inclusive practices, not just the select few in management. Let us create an environment where every voice matters. A few nods around the table indicated that perhaps she wasn't just being overlooked after all. Maya felt courage swell within her, a wave pushing her forward. Imagine the talent we could attract. People spend more time in places where they feel valued. We could be setting a precedent in a culture that others look up to. As discussions spun around her, an undercurrent of excitement mingled with tension. There was a palpable shift in the atmosphere, the stakes higher than ever. The head executive raised a hand, silencing the chatter. What would a mentorship look like? The question hit Maya like a jolt of caffeine. First, we identify individuals who demonstrate potential and passion. Then we match them with veterans who can guide them. This partnership would not just empower the participants, it would help all of us learn from fresh perspectives. A voice from the corner chimed in. We could even set measurable goals, track progress over time. If we are truly focused on innovation, we need metrics to show success. Maya smiled, her heart swelling with hope. Yes, it's not just a feel-good moment. We can showcase tangible results that clarify how this investment benefits everyone. The executives continued discussing the idea, voices rising and falling as passion ignited amidst them. But as Maya's hopes soared, she caught a flicker of doubt across the sharp-featured one's face. Just as suddenly, she interrupted the dialogue. But what if we fail? There was a sharpness to her tone, the same doubts echoing from before. Maya felt the air thicken. What if we succeed? She replied fiercely, pushing through the doubt. What if a simple change in perspective transforms lives? This isn't just another business strategy. This is about respect and dignity. This is about proving that we're ready for a new generation. Suddenly, a buzz of conversations erupted again. The atmosphere shifted from skepticism to hopeful debate, the uncertain now painted with possibility. But as ideas flowed, a fear settled in Maya's chest. Could they really turn this into a concrete change? She could feel the room sparking to life. But she didn't want to let go of her fear. It reminded her of the stakes, of everything she was fighting for. Then, the head executive would speak again, making a choice that would decide the fate not only of her initiative, but of her father's world, one where every person, regardless of their role, deserved to be seen. As she prepared for the final question, the one that would determine everything, the room held its breath once more. Are we ready to take this leap and redefine ourselves? Maya's heart raced. What would they decide? Would they choose the comfort of the familiar or embrace the challenge of the unknown? She needed to know. The head executive's gaze seemed to pierce through the room, holding everyone in a collective pause. Maya's breath felt shallow, hope and fear battling inside her. This was at the moment of decision. Silence enveloped the room, stretching like a taut line, ready to snap. Then, with a resolute expression, the head executive finally spoke. I can see the merit in what you're saying, Maya. But the stakes are high, and change is never easy. Maya felt the weight of his words. Change was daunting, but it could also create a better future. I understand the risks, she began, her voice steady despite the tremor in her heart. But the greatest risk lies in doing nothing. We'll contribute to a culture that refuses to evolve. Let us be the company that leads, that inspires. Just imagine what we could become. The murmurs intensified again, ideas bouncing around like sparks. The younger executive, buoyed by Maya's words, leaned forward eagerly. What if we pilot a small initiative? Maybe a mentorship program within one department? If it flops, we learn and adjust. If it works, we expand it. The sharp-featured woman, however, crossed her arms. And what if it doesn't flop, but merely fails to meet expectations? What then? We could lose not only credibility, but also valuable time. Maya clenched her jaw, feeling frustration rise. But what if it succeeds beyond our expectations? What if this initiative impacts even one life, opens doors for someone else? Change doesn't happen in a vacuum. It takes bravery to step into the unknown. A moment hung between them, pregnant with possibility. Those words ignited something in the room, a flicker of resolution among a mix of desire and skepticism. There was an excitement building, but also uncertainty. Then the CEO nodded slowly. Let us put this to a vote. Who believes we should take that first step in trialing the mentorship program? Maya's heart raced faster than before. This was it. Her future, perhaps even the future of how they operated as a company, hung in the balance. She could see heads turning, eyes shifting, the gravity of the choice weighing down every executive present. Those in favor? The CEO called point one by one. Hands began to rise. The tension in Maya's gut knotted and twisted as she watched each gesture of faith come forward. As the count climbed to a slim majority, her breath caught. This was real. They were actually leaning towards change. But just as she felt a swell of triumph, someone cautiously spoke from the back. What happens when the backlash comes? Not everyone will accept it, and dissent could spread like wildfire. Maya's heart sank, a flicker of doubt creeping in. What if they encountered resistance? What if they were unprepared for the challenges that awaited them? Each anxious thought clawed at the burgeoning hope she had just begun to nurture. Before she could respond, the sharp-featured executive cut in. If we are going to do this, we need a solid plan. Without that, we might as well be throwing pennies into a wishing well. Maya nodded, realizing that they were right. Without planning, their initiative could fade as quickly as it sparked. Then, let us work as a team on this. Let us develop a strategy that highlights not just our goals, but the path we'll take to get there. The energy around her began shifting again, ideas bubbling up, team assignments, potential mentors, outreach strategies. It was a picture of collaboration, of hope reborn from struggle. Yet, underneath that hope, unease wormed its way through her thoughts. As the conversation flowed, she felt the contrasting swell of excitement and dread. Was she ready to face whatever lay ahead? Could they really turn their collective vision into reality? Just when Maya thought they were breaking new ground, She realized that this was only the first step. A question loomed in her mind, one she couldn't shake off. How would they confront the inevitable backlash that would come with trying to redefine their identity? The sound of diverse voices discussing ideas buzzed around her, oblivious to her swirling thoughts. One thing was clear: the journey had only begun, and the challenges ahead would be greater than she could imagine. Would she be ready for them? The meeting room pulsed with a mix of energy and anxiety. Maya could feel it like a steady beat in her chest. Ideas flowed freely, but in the back of her mind, the fear of backlash lingered. Each suggestion brought with it a new set of possible challenges. She had ignited a flame, but could it withstand the winds of doubt that were sure to come? Okay, let us brainstorm mentorship criteria, the younger executive suggested, a glimmer of excitement in her eyes. We want volunteers who are passionate about helping others. We should also ensure that there is a diverse representation in our mentorship pairs. Maya nodded, grateful for the forward momentum. This was what she had hoped for, a spark of collaboration that could turn into a fire of change. Each voice added to the chorus of ideas, and for a moment, the fear slipped to the periphery. But then the sharp-featured woman spoke again, her tone slicing through the excitement. Don't forget, it's not just about who mentors, but also how we communicate this initiative internally. We need to sell it to the rest of the company. Not everyone will be on board, you know. Maya's stomach lurched. How do we do that? She asked, her voice wavering slightly. What if our message gets lost in translation, or worse, misunderstood? Let us focus on the positive impacts, the younger executive chimed in. We need to convey how this will not only benefit the ments, but also the mentors. Everyone loves to feel like they're part of something bigger. As they began drafting communication strategies, Maya felt the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders. It was exhilarating to be a part of this creation, but along with that exhilaration came a heavy responsibility. This was more than just a program. It was a crucial step towards reshaping their company culture. Suddenly, the CEO leaned in, their expression serious. We need to establish metrics to evaluate the program's success early on. We can't afford to leave things open-ended. Maya's heart raced. Was it possible to measure the impact on human lives? How could they quantify growth, understanding, transformation? After a moment of internal deliberation, she spoke up. We can create a feedback loop. Regular check-ins with ments and mentors. It will allow us to adjust and grow the program while measuring satisfaction and outcomes. Good idea. Someone chimed in, and the room buzzed with chatter about forms and timelines. But just as the energy was building again, the sharp-featured woman interrupted. We must also prepare for the critics. What are we going to say to those who doubt the effectiveness of this program? The room fell silent. Maya felt her throat tighten. This was the crux of it, the vulnerability that came with attempting change. She took a deep breath. We acknowledge their concerns head-on. We'll gather testimonials and data that showcases the benefits. But we also need to remind everyone why this is important. This program isn't just a business initiative. It's about building a stronger, more inclusive community. The atmosphere shifted again, this time towards something solid, something that felt right. Heads began to nod, inspired by the vision she articulated. But doubt still flickered in her mind. How would they handle the backlash? Could they remain united if the winds turned stormy? An unfamiliar resignation twisted in her stomach. Maybe this was more than just her voice leading a charge. It was about the voices that would join hers, like a choir being tuning before a performance. But before they could sing, she had to remind herself. Fear is natural, but hope is a choice. As discussions resumed, the once intimidating uncertainty became a tapestry woven with threads of resilience and determination. Together, they were crafting a narrative that would redefine who they were. Just then, a notification buzzed in Maya's pocket. It was from a respected former executive who had left the company months ago, a talented leader who had left behind a shadow of skepticism on his way out. The message simply read, "What is this I hear about mentorship? You really think you can pull this off?" Maya's heart sank at the words. Would he be the voice of dissent they feared, or could she turn the doubt into trust? A mix of urgency and determination surged within her. She needed to respond, and quickly. One doubt lingered, coiling tightly. Could she really convince the naysayers to see the potential in the unknown? With a surge of adrenaline, she took out her phone and began typing. knowing that the real challenge lay ahead. Maya stared at her phone, her fingers hovering over the keyboard, her mind racing. She couldn't help but feel the weight of the past mixed with the urgency of the present. She knew this former executive. His skepticism had often mirrored the doubts of others in the company. But this was her moment to rewrite their story. Taking a deep breath, she started typing. I believe this mentorship program has the potential to transform our company culture. It's not just about checking off boxes, but fostering genuine connections that can lead to growth for everyone involved. I'd love to discuss this further and hear your thoughts. She hit send, her heart beating faster as the notification disappeared. There was no turning back now. She glanced around the meeting room, now buzzing with animated discussions about timelines and communication plans. Each voice added another layer of hope, filling the air with a tangible energy. But what if this energy could be snuffed out? Doubt crept back in, but she pushed it aside, reminding herself of the vision they had sparked together. The room felt warmer with every shared idea, and for the first time in a long time, she realized they stood on the precipice of something monumental. The sharp-featured woman, now in a more collaborative mood, zoomed in on the implementation timeline. We need a clear action plan, something that everyone can hold on to. Let us break the mentorship program into stages so it doesn't overwhelm anyone. Agreed, Maya jumped in, feeling the rhythm of leadership flowing through her. Let us outline our goals for the first quarter, focus on matching mints and mentors, and set up our first feedback session. As they mapped their strategies into a shared document, Maya's mind flickered back to the message she had just sent. She couldn't shake the feeling that they would need allies like him, especially in the face of potential resistance. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again, almost startling her. It was a new message from the former executive. Let us meet. I have a few points I'd like to discuss. Maybe there's more to your idea than I initially thought. A rush of relief washed over her. It wasn't a full endorsement, but an opening. Maybe he, too, could be influenced, turning his skepticism into support. She quickly responded, setting up a time to meet, her pulse quickening with a new sense of purpose. Meanwhile, the room had seamlessly transitioned into brainstorming branding ideas for the launch. Different ideas flowed and collided, creating a tapestry of enthusiasm. Someone suggested a name for the initiative, Bridge Builders. Maya smiled at the simplicity and strength of it. Yes, it reflects what we're trying to achieve. We are bridging gaps, connecting people. This is exactly the message we need to convey. As discussions continued, Maya felt her earlier anxieties dissolve, replaced by a firmer grasp on hope. But then an uneasy thought bubbled up. What if she failed to fulfill the vision? What if this program did not gather traction, or worse, met hostility? Taking a sip of water, she put the worry aside. Fear could no longer overshadow their collective momentum. It was time to be brave. We'll face challenges, but every step forward is a step toward fostering a community that thrives together. It's bigger than us. This isn't just about business. It's about lives we can impact. Nodding heads and excited murmurs rippled through the group, invigorating her. But just then, a soft knock interrupted their discussion. The office door opened slowly, revealing the human resources director, a look of concern on her face. She leaned in, her voice low but urgent. We need to talk about the policies regarding mentorship. Some of the old guards are unhappy, and there's talk of a meeting to address the backlash. The energy in the room shifted again, tension slicing through their newfound camaraderie. Maya felt her heart race, dread spinning in her stomach. Would her dream initiative be crushed before it even had a chance to breathe? Let us face them together, Maya said, her voice steadier than she felt. This is just part of the journey. We'll gather our data and testimonials. We can show them the value in what we're doing. The group resumed their discussions, but Maya's mind raced ahead to facing those skeptics. How would she articulate their vision amidst the uncertainty? It felt like standing on the cusp of a storm. Her phone pinged again, and Maya glanced down. It was a text from a close friend. I'm here if you need to talk, it read. Could she lean on her support network? Perhaps they could help shift the tide. With resolve, she began drafting a new message, not just for the former executive, but for her own network of support. The stakes were higher, but the journey ahead had the potential for greater transformation. The tide was turning, but would it carry them toward success or sweep them into chaos? Maya felt a surge of energy as she sent out her message, but underneath that excitement was a tightening knot of anxiety. How would her peers respond? Would they rally around her? She glanced around the room, taking in the diverse faces that had gathered. Each one held potential, each voice a part of this crucial moment. Okay, back to the task at hand, the sharp-featured woman said, her tone firm but not unkind. Let us focus on our action items. Who is responsible for gathering feedback after the first month? I can handle that, Maya volunteered, her heart racing as she leaned into her role. I'll set up a survey for the participants and have one-on-one conversations to dig deeper. Feeling emboldened, Maya turned to the group, her eyes scanning their expressions. We need to keep this momentum. It's not just about collecting feedback, it's about adapting to our community's needs. She spoke with a sincerity that echoed her desire to see real change. As the group nodded and discussed various avenues to collect data, Maya silently cheered herself on. She had a vision, and she was determined to fight for it. However, just as she felt a spark of triumph, a wave of doubt washed over her. What if the feedback turned out to be negative? What if the naysayers didn't budge? The thought was suffocating, a weight in her chest that made it hard to breathe. No room for negativity, she whispered to herself. She had to believe in this. She had to trust that every challenge could be turned into an opportunity. The brainstorming session wrapped up, and the group prepared to finish for the day. As they shuffled out, Maya remained, feeling a pulse of urgency. She needed to make contact with her friend, to share the unease filling her thoughts. Sending a quick text, she tapped on her phone furiously. Meet me for coffee? Need moral support, she wrote. The message sent quicker than she had anticipated. Just 5 minutes later, her friend replied enthusiastically, of course. See you in a bit. With a sigh, Maya gathered her things, her mind racing with scenarios. Would her friend understand the depth of the pressure she felt? Would their conversation help alleviate the fears that were beginning to bubble on the surface? Moments later, as she stepped into the cafe, an aromatic blend of coffee and baked goods engulfed her senses. She spotted her friend, with that familiar warm smile, waves of support radiating off her. Maya, her friend called, arms wide open. Maya embraced her, the hug grounding her momentarily. What is going on? Her friend asked, concern creeping into her voice. Maya hesitated, momentarily caught in a tangle of vulnerability. It's the mentorship program. Things are heating up, and I'm worried about the backlash. Her friend leaned in, encouraging her to share more. They aren't on board yet. They want to shut it down before it even launched, and Maya paused, collecting her thoughts. I believe in it. I really do. Her friend nodded, listening intently. Then we'll fight for it. You don't have to do this alone, Maya. You're not just fighting for a project. You're creating a movement. Maya felt the warmth spread through her chest, a flicker of genuine hope igniting. Can you help me gather data? Talk to some of our colleagues who believe in this too? Absolutely, her friend replied, determination glimmering in her eyes. As they discussed strategies over steaming cups of coffee, a flicker of resolve returned to Maya. Hope mingled with anxiety, spiraling into a feeling of strength. Maybe they could tackle this together. Maybe they could influence the skeptics to see what she saw. But as the coffee cups emptied and the clouds outside darkened, a new worry crept in. Would it be enough? Could their camaraderie change the tides, or would they still face opposition? Suddenly, Maya's phone vibrated on the table. She glanced down to see an email notification. It was from the former executive. I want to discuss your ideas tomorrow morning. Prepare for a tough conversation, it read. A chill ran down her spine. This is it, she thought. Would she be ready to face him, to defend her vision? With her heart pounding, she glanced at her friend. Determination flashed in her eyes. Tomorrow would bring its own battles. But she couldn't back down now. Would she seize the opportunity, or let her fears overshadow her confidence? Maya barely slept that night. Every time she closed her eyes, images danced in her mind. Faces of her colleagues, the sharp-featured woman's stern look, and flashes of her own resolve filled her thoughts, swirling like a storm. She tossed and turned, each moment dragging closer to the sunrise and the inevitable meeting. When her alarm blared, it pierced the fog of her restless sleep. Weak sunlight streamed through her curtains, a stark reminder that the day had come. Maya sat up, rubbing her eyes, battling the fatigue that clung to her like a shadow. As she pulled herself together for the day, she focused on her breathing, a rhythm of deep inhales and gentle exhales to steady her racing heart. Arriving at the office, she felt a buzz of energy course through her. This was her arena, and she refused to let fear steer her off course. With each step toward the conference room, she clenched her fists, centered on the vision of her mentorship program and the lives it could change. She could picture the participants' fresh faces eager for guidance, mentors ready to uplift. Maya entered the room, where the former executive and other decision-makers were already seated, immersed in a sea of documents. As she walked in, eyes turned toward her, some curious, some judgmental. The weight of their scrutiny pressed down on her, but she pushed through, a growing flicker of defiance sparking within. "Thank you for agreeing to meet today," she began, her voice steady but soft, hoping to ease the atmosphere. "I wanted to share my vision for the mentorship program and how it can benefit our community, not just our company." The executive leaned back, folding his arms. "Let us get straight to the point. Why should we invest in this program when our resources are already stretched thin?" Taking a deep breath, Maya summoned every ounce of passion she felt. "Because investing in people is the foundation of our future success. This program isn't just another initiative. It's an opportunity to build trust, to foster innovation, and to empower individuals who feel overlooked." Her words hung in the air, the silence thick with contemplation. She could see glimmers of intrigue in a few of the faces, but doubt still lingered. Maya pressed on. "We've already seen incredible results in similar programs. Diverse voices lead to diverse ideas, and that's what drives progress." The former executive raised an eyebrow. "Do you really believe this will resonate enough to make a difference?" Her heart raced, and she felt warmth rise in her cheeks. "Yes, I do. More than ever, our industry needs voices like those we could uplift through this program. It's not just about us. It's about creating pathways for others." As the meeting continued, Maya shared data and anecdotes, her confidence blossoming with each passing moment. She spoke about the young individuals she had encountered, their dreams snuffed out in silence, their voices desperate for a chance to thrive. The room slowly shifted, those stern faces starting to soften. But the executive remained immovable, his skepticism radiating as he cut her off. "I appreciate your enthusiasm, but we need solid evidence. How will you measure success?" At that moment, doubt clawed at Maya's gut again. The vision she had carried felt fragile in the face of this challenge. Did she have a concrete answer? Just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket. Distracted, she glanced at it, seeing a message from her friend. "Believe in yourself. You're doing great." Finding strength in those words, she replied, while still holding eye contact with the others. "We'll track participation numbers, conduct surveys, and arrange follow-up interviews. But most importantly, we'll create a community that thrives on continuous feedback." With newfound passion igniting her spirit, she called upon every ounce of conviction she possessed. "Let us make this happen." The silence that followed felt electric, the tension a raw energy, each person processing her fervor. But as she wrapped up her presentation, she felt a sense of urgency wash over her. What if it wasn't enough? What if they still said no? As she left the meeting room, her feet barely touched the ground, and with every breath, that flicker of hope fought against the shadows of doubt creeping back in. Maya clenched her fists, unwilling to give in. Suddenly, an unexpected figure approached her as she reached the hallway. The sharp-featured woman smiled, a different glint in her eyes. "Maya, wait. I'd like to speak with you." Maya's heart flipped. Was this a chance? Or just more uncertainty looming? "Let us talk," she said, feeling a blend of anxiety and curiosity wash over her as hope flickered in her chest. What could this conversation bring? Maya stood still, a rush of nerves tangling with excitement. The sharp-featured woman, once a formidable barrier, now held the promise of a bridge. The corridor felt like its own universe, stripped of distractions, as Maya focused entirely on this surprising opportunity. "I was impressed with your proposal," the woman began, her tone softer, more deliberate than Maya had ever heard before. You brought up some great points about representation and inclusion. It's more important than most of us realize." Maya's heartbeat quickened, but she forced herself to meet her gaze. "Thank you," she said, voice steady. "I believe this program can reshape our culture." It's about acknowledging every effort, giving all voices a chance. I understand at ISNT just about numbers, she continued, crossing her arms almost protectively. But change can be messy, and I worry about the pushback we might face. Steeling herself, Maya replied, I get that. But sometimes, messiness is the first step towards something beautiful. It's about being brave enough to navigate the discomfort together. The woman frowned slightly, contemplating. For a moment, the walls between them felt less like barricades and more like the foundations of a new alliance. God, how she wished for it. Maybe you're right, the woman admitted, her expression shifting. We need to strengthen our community and create pathways for growth. Not just for you, but for everyone in the company. It rests in our hands. A smile broke across Maya's face, warmth expanding in her chest. Together we can carve out a new legacy. We can create something far more significant than just a program. We can start a movement. We need champions willing to be advocates for inclusivity and empowerment. By the end of their conversation, something had undeniably shifted in the atmosphere around them, a flicker of understanding paving the way for new possibilities. The sharp-featured woman nodded, her determination solidifying. Let us gather a group to address the concerns. We'll include representation from all levels after the program launches. I know a few who have thought deeply about inclusion, and they might just support your vision. Maya's heart soared. Her voice barely held back the joy. That would be fantastic. Having more allies in the mix will help create a stronger foundation, make it sustainable for everyone. The hallway filled with a renewed energy, and together they talked about next steps. Maya left the encounter feeling like she had soared above the storm that had threatened to consume her. Weeks passed, and the mentorship program rolled out with the kind of momentum that felt nothing short of electric. Participants eagerly signed up, mentors stepped forward, and the camaraderie solidified into something tangible, something real. As the first month came to a close, they gathered for a feedback session, the air buzzing with excitement and purpose. Maya couldn't help but admire the sea of faces in front of her, each one brimming with hope and passion. This was the moment she had fought for, not only for her father, but for all those who felt unseen. Today, we pause to celebrate our victories, Maya began, a radiant smile spreading across her face, and to acknowledge the hard work that has brought us here. Together, we've opened doors, and together we'll continue to build. Every voice matters, every story matters. The applause echoed around her, applause buoyed by the shared knowledge of the road they had traveled. This was just the beginning. A tear slipped down Maya's cheek, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming power of transformation. The once cast shadows in her life shone brighter now, lighting the way forward as she held her father's South legacy close to her heart. He would have been so proud, she whispered to herself. Closing her eyes momentarily as the crowd mingled, Maya felt warmth wrap around her like a comforting blanket. She had forged new paths in a challenging terrain, and she wasn't alone. With her father's tough love propelling her forward, she smiled deeply at each face around her. Embracing the knowledge that they were all in this together, dedicating their efforts to a brighter, more inclusive future. And at the heart of it all was that one brave move, the leap toward change, igniting hope not just for herself, but for countless others in their community. This was the beginning of something more. So now I urge you to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that could inspire change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let it know these heartfelt transformations matter. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending below. Your voice is valued. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to share. Don't wait, not even one more second. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us carry this momentum forward. Together, we can change the world.